Wow! The She-Hulk finale just broke all the rules, while also answering so many questions in the MCU in the best possible way.
Is this real life?
This finale rivals Loki's finale in terms of sticking the landing relative to its season. I screamed several times. Bravo!
Well, yeah, that's what Hulks do. We smash things. Bruce smashes buildings, I smash fourth walls and bad endings.
They say if you expect nothing, you'll never be disappointed. Well, the finale of She-Hulk finally proves that wrong. For as bad as the entire show has been, I sat there in stupefied shock at how horrible the season finale was. It reached that mythical level of bad ending, above Game of Thrones, reserved only for Battlestar Galactica. She-Hulk breaks new grounds by simultaneously having complete, utter contempt for its audience, but also having no confidence in its own story. This isn't going to be a deconstruction or examination of the writing, as there's nothing to deconstruct or even examine. This is just a pure rant. Listen, I need to expel this toxic goo that was inflicted upon my psyche by this show before it melts me from the inside. So what happened? Well, like most shows nowadays, there's an overarching plot that slowly moves along each episode. For She-Hulk, the plot was, and I'm not joking, this was the real plot of a real multi-million-dollar TV show for one of the biggest brands in media. This was the final boss for the first season of She-Hulk, a show about someone with the powers of a Hulk. A group of internet misogynists run a Reddit page dedicated to destroying She-Hulk because she's a woman. And they don't like women because women gross and belong in kitchen or something. And so these internet redditors devise a plan to steal She-Hulk's blood. How they even know her blood is the key to becoming a Hulk is never explained, so that the guy who runs this Reddit page can make himself a Hulk, because he deserves it more, because he's a man or something. And so instead of just sticking Jen with a needle when she's in human form or knocking her out with like gas or chloroform and taking a blood sample, they devise an elaborate ruse to have a #nice guy seduce Jen, film their sex tape for some reason, and then post it publicly, which would of course identify said nice guy in committing a crime. So a group of internet trolls managed to not only steal She-Hulk's blood, but also somehow, magically, off-screen, with finger quotes, technology, make it so that this random guy can be injected with her blood and go into Hulk form without dying horribly. Something Bruce says in the first episode would be almost impossible. That's right, in the entire MCU, out of all the supervillains, out of all the various countries, governments, all who would absolutely love to be able to turn people into Hulks, something which is literally the backstory for Emil Blonsky, who is in this very show, and who was the plot of the very first Hulk movie. Nope, no one in the entire world was ever able to figure out how to do this before some internet trolls who hate women. I guess that old episode of Seinfeld was right.
Your brain consists of two parts. The intellect, represented here, and the part obsessed with sex. But with no sex Louise, this previously useless lump is now functioning for the first time in its existence.
Oh yeah, and also this plan is useless because if this guy ever comes out publicly as being a Hulk, everyone will know he's the one that committed the crime. Now all that stupid plot I just relayed to you, this isn't even the shockingly bad ending I'm talking about. Oh no, my sweet summer child. That pile of plot garbage I just relayed to you is merely the setup. The abyss of despair goes so much deeper. So take a moment to prepare your mind for the story equivalent of the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where everyone's face melts off. So how does this show wrap up this insanely bad plot? Well, after a bunch of heavily contrived dumb things happen, so that Jen, just by pure coincidence, stumbles upon our internet trolls, a big dumb fight breaks out. And I'm not making this up, this really happens. You, the audience, turn off the She-Hulk TV show in disgust. Jen then breaks out of the She-Hulk logo onto the Disney Plus streaming site page, goes into the writer's room for her own TV show, and tells them they are all bad writers. Then the writers say it's not their fault their writing sucks, it's Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios' fault. So She-Hulk goes to his office to find that Kevin is actually an AI algorithm, desperately trying to cobble together a good television show. So Jen complains to the AI robot, and everything is solved off screen. All the bad guys are stopped, all the problems disappear, and that's it. That's the end of the show. Yes, the writers of She-Hulk wrote a story that sucked so much they had to have their own character literally break the fourth wall and tell them it sucked. But here's the thing, writers of She-Hulk. Just because your own character tells you your story sucks doesn't mean it stops sucking. In fact, it actually makes it worse. It means the writers of the show were aware that what they were writing sucked, and they just didn't care. Well, here's an amazing tip. How about when you're writing a TV show, you just make it not suck? My God, what infinite wisdom, what knowledge beyond compare. You just make it not suck! Are you saying that when I'm writing a TV show, I should actually try to make it good? Who could have thought of such a revolutionary idea? You're saying I shouldn't write a TV show based off the "I was only pretending to be retarded" meme? Oh my God, who could have thought of this? I'm awestruck. That's right, I am stricken with awe at how bad this ending and this show is. We have a show that not only has no confidence in itself, but it also hates its own fans. It's making Marvel fans the bad guys and calling them all sexist. These episodes are written before the show is even aired. It meant that as they were writing the show, they had such little confidence in their own work that they knew the Marvel fans wouldn't like it. So in anticipation, they made them the bad guys.
I'm not happy with what's happening in my story.
You're angry. I know it. I don't suppose you ever stopped whining long enough to reflect on your own shortcomings, though, did you?
It's my show. I propose we don't have to do that.
You've been wrong about every single thing you've ever done, including this thing.
I don't know, maybe I'm just a crazy lad, but why don't you just try to make a funny, interesting, compelling TV show that the fans would actually like? Crazy, right? But it gets worse. The people that wrote this show are so pathetic. Not only do they label the fans as the villains, but then they acknowledge that their own writing is dog shit. And they just say, oh, well, whatever. If I lampshade it, aka point out how bad my own writing is, then the bad writing becomes okay and funny, right? No, it doesn't. All I can say to them regarding their writing is,
everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
And for the She-Hulk apologists that are trying to claim that Jen was only saying the big fight at the end was what sucked, no. You're wrong. Jen flat out says none of the storylines make any sense.
This is a mess. None of these storylines make any sense.
And criticize the main plot point that the finale has been driving towards the entire season.
The bad guy steals my blood in order to give himself superpowers. Where did you come up with that original idea? Was that from every other superhero story ever?
Okay.
So please, cease your simping. The writers of She-Hulk don't even understand their own story, or what the stakes even are. Jen, acting as a self-insert for the writers, says the blood-stealing plot...
It distracts from the story, which is that my life fell apart right when I was learning to be both Jen and She-Hulk. Those are my stakes, Kevin.
Her life falls apart? Does that even make sense? Let's remove the overarching blood plot and see what the supposed stakes for Jen are each episode. Episode 1, she becomes She-Hulk and has complete control of her powers. Episode 2, she loses her job but gets a far better one. Episode 3, she gets Emil Blonsky off on parole. Episode 4, she has trouble getting a date until she goes She-Hulk form. Episode 5, someone tries to trademark her name in a way that makes no logical sense. Episode 6, her high school friends are a-holes. Episode 7, more guy trouble. And Episode 8, her client turns out to be a bad guy and she gets to bang Daredevil. And that's it. So for Episode 1, there are no stakes or negatives for Jen. For Episodes 2, 4, and 8, her becoming She-Hulk makes her life better, not worse. For Episodes 3, 6, and 7, her becoming She-Hulk is irrelevant to her problem. The only problem Jen faces from being She-Hulk, if we remove the blood plot, is Titania trying to copyright her name, something that was easily fixed. That's it. So, how exactly does her life fall apart?
You know in high school, that friend that you have that's like, like, cooler than you are, like more attractive and athletic, and they get all the attention from everyone? Hello.
If we remove the blood plot and everything related to it, in totality, becoming She-Hulk massively helps Jen. She ain't no Peter Parker.
The barn, I broke my back, a drone flew into my face, I buried Aunt May, my wife and I split up, but I handled it like a champion. Because you know what, no matter how many times I get hit, I always get back up.
Jen even says this herself. Her only big problem becoming She-Hulk is, oh no, I don't know if people only like me because I'm hot and have superpowers. Woe is me.
Everyone pays attention when I'm this. Like, my colleagues, my boss, guys. It feels like cheating.
I know this is supposed to be a funny show, but if this is Jen's main problem, it's incredibly shallow and pathetic. Just compare it to every other Marvel superhero. Oh no, my life's work is being used to kill thousands of innocent people. Oh no, I had to sacrifice my entire life to be a badass. Oh no, I look like a disgusting monster man. Oh no, if I lose control of my emotions, I might kill everyone around me. Oh no, I don't know if people like me for me.
Would they like me if I didn't have all of this? Like if I was just Jen? Would the same guys who like She-Hulk stick around for Jen?
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby! Baby want a bottle? A big dirt bottle?
So the writers of the show have no idea what they're talking about. The other things She-Hulk apologists say are things like, She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall in the comic, or this ending of She-Hulk complaining to the writers is right out of the comic, so that means it's good. If you thought that, you've been tricked. Breaking the fourth wall itself isn't the problem, and the series could have been written in a way so that this same ending actually worked. One of two ways. The first is She-Hulk from the very beginning continually comments that the whole stealing blood, misogynist internet trolls plotline seemed weird, stupid, and out of place. All the other characters around her would act like this plotline is just a normal thing in the Marvel universe. But Jen would be like, this is stupid and weird. Why is no one seeing this? And this overarching blood-stealing plotline, much to Jen's annoyance, would continually interrupt each individual main episode's plot about whatever court case Jen is handling. From the very beginning, Jen just wants to get back to lawyering, but the writers keep trying to shoehorn this blood-stealing misogynist garbage in. But that's not what happens at all. Jen and the other characters take the blood-stealing misogynist Redditor's plotline seriously, all up until the very last second. That's why the ending feels so lazy and unearned, and out of nowhere. If it was done the way I just suggested, with an actual setup, the ending could have felt like an intelligent commentary on some of the bad tropes of Marvel movies and TV shows. The second way to write that ending is just to get rid of all the overarching blood-stealing plot garbage altogether. Just have each episode be a self-contained, humorous light story. There is no overarching plot. Then the final episode, which has its own self-contained story like the rest, veers off the rails at the end in some bizarre big fight, to which Jen attacks the writers, telling them just because it's the series finale doesn't mean they have to shoehorn in some ridiculous cluster fight like so many Marvel properties that betrays the entire tone of the series. But the writers of She-Hulk wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have this dumb, overarching, blood-stealing plotline driving the series, keeping modern audiences who have been conditioned to need an overarching plot watching the show. They want to have this insipid, let's preemptively call people who don't like our show sexist, so hard we literally write it into the plot. They wanted to have all this garbage in the show, but then criticize it right at the end? That just makes it seem like they have no confidence in their own writing. That when the writers got to the last episode of the script, they realized their own story sucked. But it was too late to go back and rewrite the series. So they figured if they called their own writing bad, that would trick some people into accepting it was actually good. And for some people, it's worked.
I do have some thoughts about the direction of season 2.
Oh, no.